one thing that was harder for me to accept on my spiritual journey was embracing the unknown. I came from a place where, not that I was a know-it-all growing up, but there was a lot expected of me because of my high grades, and I was considered one of the gifted kids. I had a slightly high IQ, and of course with that comes expectations that you know things, or at least you know how to find things out if you don't know something. And as I got older, kind of the same way, where a lot was expected of me because I did seem to have a lot of insights into things, and I did seem to not always have the answers, but have the ability to problem solve and find my way to the answers relatively quickly. And then I got to the point where all of these things were happening. My spiritual abilities were surfacing. My priorities were changing. I started turning inward. And now all of a sudden there were all of these big unknowns. There were times I was receiving messages that I found out later were guidance from spirit. But I had no idea whether they were guides, whether they were angels, whether they were loved ones. I didn't know. I just knew that they came from a very loving place, and that I was receiving these messages, and that one day I was supposed to do something with them. And this was right smack in the middle of my college career, where I was studying social work, and it's all about evidence-based practice and evidence-based interventions. And even if you have this intuitive idea of, oh, this intervention would be great for this person or this group of people, they would tell you, okay, go back into the research and find the evidence for that. So all of these things were happening that I had no evidence for, and it completely threw me off. Completely. And I had no idea. And later on, it's no mystery why, when I was developing evidential mediumship, we were talking about our hang-ups, and the teacher said to me, are you afraid of getting a no, meaning the client not understanding who the communicator is who's coming through? And I said, no, it's not the no that throws me, it's the I don't know, it's the unknown. And looking back, I can understand why I had that hang up, and I had to work through it and work through the fears and insecurities about the unknown. And what if what is the worst case scenario that happens if I have to live my life from a place of not knowing? Well, actually, the worst case scenario isn't that bad, because what will happen is that you're just learning new things and coming to understand things that you've already learned in new ways, and you learn to ask better questions, ask deeper questions, and sometimes you end up with more questions than answers. But what I've learned is that sometimes the unknown is a perfectly safe place to be. In fact, most of the time it is. I don't have to know outside of evidential mediumship, but I don't have to know exactly the name, the gender, whoever is giving me these messages. I don't have to know what my next step is going to be on this path, because I will be guided and I will know when it is time for me to know. I don't need to know where my next reading is coming from, where my next coaching client is coming from, because I will be guided and I will be inspired to take the steps to bring that about. All this to say that if you're in that place where you're fearing the unknown, I do understand. There's absolutely no judgment, but I would challenge you to try to see that from a different perspective. I'm sending you all so much love and many blessings.